Welcome back, everyone. So today we are going to continue our conversation about the four forms of linear functions. So this is a sequel. This is the second video on this. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on how do you go from one form to the other three forms. I'm going to do two of them, and I'll do another third video where I could address the other two as well. So please make sure you go back to the first video and watch the introduction to these forms. There are some really good nuggets of wisdom before you come into this particular video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick an example of a linear function of this form, slope-intercept form, and I'm going to try to go to these three forms, and then I'm going to go to the second form, and I'll go back to the first and the third and the fourth, and then I'll create another video where I could start with here and do these three, and then start here and then do these three. Okay, and every now and then I'll show you a couple of shortcuts. So let's get going with this. So I'm going to start with an example of this form. So we're going to convert the slope-intercept form into the other three forms. Okay, so I picked this example, straightforward. Y equals 2x plus 1. Clearly the slope is 2 and b is 1. That means the y-intercept is 1. Okay, and I want to write it in this form. This form means all the x's and the y's on one side and all the constants on the other side. So all I had to do is bring in the 2x to this side by adding the negative 2x on both sides of the equation. You get negative 2x plus y equals 1. I deliberately put 1 here to indicate that the constant in front of y is 1. And therefore, I have just achieved my goal, which is the standard form, ax plus by equals c. So my a is negative 1. I made a mistake here. My a is actually negative 2. My bad. My a is negative 2, and b is 1, and c is 1. That's how you know whether or not you're done. You are able to tell me what the values of a, b, and c are. So now I'm going to go to the slope, the point slope form. Slope is given, obviously, and I'm going to pick a point. So we already know that slope is 2, right? So now I just need a point. I picked the point 0, 1. We know when x is 0, y is 1. Feel free to pick another point. You might say, okay, when x is 5, 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 plus 1 is 11. Therefore, my y is 11. You have the absolute right to pick a point like this one, for instance. I'm just being lazy, and I know the y-intercept, so I picked the point 0, 1. All right. Working with the x and the y-intercepts are oftentimes easier to work with. So I have a point, and I have the slope. So now I can write it in this form. The slope is given, and the point is x1, y1, 0, 1, right? So I'll just plug it in. I get 0 for x1. The minus remains. That's my independence variable. That's my slope. That's my dependence variable, and y1 is 1. x1, y1. Done. Okay? Now I'm going to go to this form, which is called the two intercepts form. In other words, this is the x-intercept. The point is a comma 0, and this is the y-intercept, 0 comma b. Okay? And I'm going to show you two ways to do it. The first way is try to write the function in this form. Now notice that this kind of resembles this, right? All the x's and the y's are on one side, and all the constants, well, not all the constants, but there is a 1 here. But the key is all the x's and the y's are on one side. Since I already know this from number 2, I just copied it. Okay, I don't have to go back here. I just copy this. Okay. Now I already have a 1, so I'm okay. What bothers me is this negative 2. And as we said, we're going to bring it down underneath a 1. So think about it this way. So we have negative 2x over 1 plus y over 1 equals 1. I'm very happy with the 1. I'm very happy with the plus. I'm very happy with this number here. There is nothing here. That's awesome. The thing that bothers me is this number. So I put it underneath 1 as we did last time. And that's why I wrote negative a half. So my x-intercept is negative 1/2 comma 0. And my y-intercept is 0 comma 1, as we knew from the very beginning. Okay? So now I'm going to show you another method on how to achieve this form. Okay? I already know my y-intercepts. It's 0 comma 1. So it's not hard to find the x-intercepts. To find the x-intercept, you just set y to be 0. To find the y-intercept, you set x to be 0. 2 times 0 plus 1 is 1. To find the x-intercept, you set y to be 0. So when you plug in 0 here, you get 2x plus 1 equals 2x plus 1 equals 0. So that means 2x equals negative 1. That means x equals negative a half. And therefore, my x-intercept is negative 1/2 comma 0. Well, that's my a, and that's my b. I just plugged them in. A, B, done. So a quick way to do it, okay? Usually a visual, and I'm going to show you some visuals later, but usually there are more than one way to do things, okay? All right, so now I'm going to go to this form and see if I can go here and here and here. So I'm going to start with this form, okay? So we're going to convert the standard form into the other three forms. So I picked one. 1x plus 2y equals 3, okay? How do I write it in the slope-intercept form? The slope-intercept form simply means you need to isolate y. So it's very simple. We're going to move the x to this side. Here it is. We're going to divide across by 2. We're going to get negative 1/2 x plus 3/2. Done. Where the slope is here and the y-intercept is here. Notice, when you say I have achieved my goal, you need to tell me what is your m and what is your b. If you achieve this goal, I need to know a, b, c. If you achieve this goal, I need to know what is m and what is the points. If you achieve this goal, I need to know what is a and what is b. Okay? So when I finished, I told you what is my slope and what is my b. Okay? Now, how do we get to the point-slope form? Well, I already know the slope from this form. It's negative 1/2. And I'm going to pick a point. Again, I love x-intercept and y-intercept. The x-intercept is to set y to be 0. The y-intercept is to set x to be 0. Well, since I already did this, this is my y-intercept. So my point is 0 comma 3/2. You might say, well, what if we did not go through number 1? I went from here. I want to go here directly. No problem. If you set x to be 0 right there, just plug in 0 here. You know y is 3/2. It's not hard to find the y-intercept or the x-intercept or any point you want. So I know a point, just a point. I chose the y-intercept. I have a slope. So I can write it in the point-slope form. Slope, the point. Okay? So here is my point. 0 comma 3/2. Sorry, no. 0, 3/2. This is x1. This is y1. And here is my slope, and I'm done. Okay? Where the slope is negative 1/2, and my point, I chose the y-intercept. You have the right to pick any point you want. You could have said when x is 1, if you plug in 1 here, subtract it, you get 2, and divide by 2, you get 1. You could say the point 1, 1, and that's okay. All right? Then I have the fourth form. I want to achieve this goal, and I'm here already. Notice, again, this form and this form have something in common. Both of them have the variables on the left-hand side. So it's not hard to go from here to here. So here is my form. and I want to achieve this form, the first thing I need to do is achieve a 1. So I divide by 3 across the board. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. I have my 1. Okay, I have a 1 here. I'm happy. I like to have a 1 here. Okay, nothing. Nothing means 1. So it's x over 3. This is done. This is done. That's done. But this 2 will go underneath the 3. Done. So this is my A, and this is my B for here. Method number 2, since I'm looking for the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and I am here, I could just set x to be 0 and find the y-intercepts. I can set y to be 0 and find the x-intercepts and plug them in. And that's what I'm going to show you. When x is 0, look here. When x is 0, what's y? Y is 3/2, right? 2y equals 3. So y is 3/2. But when y is 0, plug in 0 here, which means hide it with your finger, you get x equals 3. So that's your A, that's your B. Boom. Boom, done. Okay? This is a much faster method. All you need to know are your y-intercepts and your x-intercepts. To find a y-intercept, to find a B, you need to set x to be 0 here. To find the x-intercepts, to find this guy, you need to set y to be 0 here. So you get x plus 0 equals 3. So that means x equals 3. So that's your A, and that's your B. Okay? So next time, I'm going to start here. I'm going to show you how to go to these 3. And then I'm going to start here. I'm going to show you how to go to these 3. But before I finish completely, I want to show you a trick. Okay? It looks kind of hard, but I think you're going to get it, okay? Let me start with this. Imagine I have the standard form, okay? Let's say 3x plus 2y equals 5. Let's say I am interested to find the slope. Well, there are many ways to find slope. You could pick an x and get a y. So for example, if I pick x to be 0, y is 5/2. If I set y to be 0, pretend this doesn't exist, you get x equals 5/3. And you could find slope this way, right? You could say 5/2 minus 0 over 0 minus 5/3. I'm moving in this direction. 5/2 minus 0 over 0 minus 5/3. And you finish, okay? You'll get the answer. And the answer is 5/2 over negative 5/3, which is 5/2 times 3 over 5, and put the minus here, cancel the 5, and you get negative 3/2. Okay? So that's one way to do it. There are many ways to do it, but that's one way. But what I want to do is to show you, see how we canceled 5? This is really crucial. You see how the 5 gets canceled? When a number in mathematics gets canceled, it means it is irrelevant to the problem. In other words, if this 5, that's those 5, which came from this 5, was a 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, the 6 will get canceled, wouldn't it? That means that 6 would be irrelevant. So in going through this process to find the slope, I didn't need the 5, did I? I'll repeat it differently. Imagine this is 6. Then my points will be when x is 0, y is 3, 6 over 2 is 3, and when y is 0, 3x equals 6, that means x equals 2. And my slope would be 3. Actually, I'm not going to write 3. I'm going to write 6 over 2 deliberately. And in here, I'm going to write 6 over 3. Okay? So my slope is going to be 6 over 2 minus 0 over 0 minus 6 over 3, which is 6 over 2 over negative 6 over 3, which is 6 over 2 times negative 3 over 6, and once again 6 cancels. Guys, I know 6 over 2 is 3, and I know 6 over 3 is 2. I am deliberately leaving it this way so you could see that that 6 was irrelevant. I still got negative 3/2, didn't I? What does that mean? It means the following. It means the following. If somebody, give me a second. We had 3x plus 2y equals 5. If somebody says find the slope from the from this form, you could literally ignore the c. You could pretend c is any number you want. And of course, our favorite number, the laziest number, is 0. So if somebody says find the slope of this equation, I can actually find the slope of this equation. Pause here for a second. I am not saying that this equation is that equation at all. They are not. This is not that, okay? You cannot just replace 5 by 0. What I'm trying to say is, in order to find the slope from the standard form, you could literally make this number look like 0 and find slope that way. Look how fast I can find slope now. I don't even need points. I could just isolate y in this case. 2y equals negative 3x and y equals negative 3/2 x. That's my slope. See? And that's what I want to show you on this page. So consider the standard form. And I want to find the slope. And I need 2 points. Well, if x is 0, which means hide this area, y will have to be c over b. Here it is. And to find the x-intercepts, again, you can use any points you want. I just prefer the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. So to find the x-intercept, we're going to set y to be 0. If y is 0, pretend this doesn't exist at all. You get ax equals c. That means x equals c over a. So now let's find the slope. Slope is this minus this over this minus that. 0 minus c over b divided by c over a minus 0. The 0 cancel, you get that. When you divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So minus c over b times, instead of division, it's times, and you flip this. C cancels. That's the key. That is the exact key. C cancels. That means C was irrelevant. Okay? You'll see that a lot in physics. When you cancel something, it is irrelevant. And therefore, my slope is just negative a over b. By the way, once you work a little bit with vectors in your Math 340, I believe, or definitely introductory physics course, you will be able to find the slope the way I just did it. It's just negative this number over that number, okay, if you use vectors. But right now we don't know the vectors. So C canceled, so that's my slope. I said notice that M does not depend on C. As I explained, M does not depend on C because C canceled. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is to find the slope of this, you may as well find the slope of that. Just replace C by 0. And I just did a quick example. If I want to know the slope of this, I can pretend my equation is this. And then just find the slope. Y equals negative 2x, so that's the slope. Done. Okay? You could still use this one and waste time if you want. So let's do it in red. Let's put it here. 2x plus y equals 3. Y is negative 2x plus 3. And how is your slope, right? And I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you is, you could pretend this 3 is 0, and it's so easy to find that the slope is just negative 2 because y is negative 2x. Okay? So I thought that would be very helpful to you. You don't have to use this trick, but I think it's helpful, and it helps you with your analytical skills as well. So I am going to end the video here. Until next time, have a good day.